Hey everybody, I'm live for the second time today, probably the last time today. I've got to get back to work and then take another of my many flights. I travel about 600,000 air miles a year, by the way, bringing the movement to you all around the country and around the world, making this real in people's lives. 2 million plus clients, $2.5 billion is U.S. currency invested in underserved neighborhoods in our communities, 26,000 volunteers in the U.S., 5,000 volunteers in South Africa, about 50, actually more interns than that, 200 plus employees on a move for civil rights and civil rights. Now, I'm going to talk about something I don't normally talk about. I'm going to talk about it straight because it's a silly season right now. It's our political season for the presidential vote. And you know, Dr. King and my mentor Andrew Young and John Lewis and all the heroes and sheroes, Dr. Dorothy Height, gave their lives so we could vote. And so this is important, and we should take it important. So I'm gonna talk very clearly about my politics, which I never talk about ever, and I'm gonna talk about your civil rights and how you should vote. Now, before somebody gets upset, let me just say, I see people are tuning in. Put your comments down below. I will respond. By the way, I'm the chairman, founder, and CEO of Operation Hope, John Hope Bryant. I'm also the author of How the Poor Can Save Capitalism, which is a global bestseller, actually. One of two books written by a black man. It's a bestseller in economics, and Love Leadership: The New Way to Lead in a Fear-Based World. Now, I never talk about my politics. I'm going to talk about it straight here today, and I'm going to tell you how to vote your civil rights. Let me start with the last point first. It's none of my business how you vote. Okay, it's none of my business. It's anybody else's business how you vote, right? My mother always said, Juanita Smith, that don't offer folks advice, don't offer men advice in this particular case, or men or women advice. Why? Because wise men don't need it and fools don't listen. Wise men don't need it and fools don't listen. So I'm not offering anybody advice. I am going to also offer, though, a powerful observation. Some of you know I've been an advisor to Republican and Democratic U.S. presidents. I was a commissioned officer for President George W. Bush. And he was a nice man, by the way. And so, you know, well, I'll get to that story in a minute. And I like him, for the record. And by the way, who's the president done more for Africa than anybody? I'm about to start a firestorm. More for Africa than any president before or since? You won't guess this. You can try to guess if you like. I can see the comments down below. And no, this does not suggest what my politics are because of the answer, because I said I like George Bush as a person. It's George Bush. The person who's done more for Africa than any president before or since is George Bush. Unbelievable. And so I was commissioned officer for Bush. I advised President Bill Clinton, who I absolutely love. Just love that man. Great quote. In fact, I have his President Clinton sign on my wall. He signed it. And I'm still working with President Clinton in his foundation day. I serve on one of his advisory boards. I'm a member of Clinton Global Initiatives. And I've been a commissioned officer for President Barack Obama, both terms. So to be clear, I've served 3 U.S. presidents in that capacity, and I've been recognized by the last 5 presidents, Republican and Democrat. So if you want to guess my politics, you can't. And just because you think I understand money, that must mean I'm a Republican. You're wrong. My politics is the same answer the way you should vote. None of your business. But I will tell you my philosophy. I'm not a member of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm a member of the Get It Done Party. And folks who want my vote need to get it done. We need to take the emotions out of the vote and out of our perspectives and replace good common sense. Now, common sense is not so common. And people are going to start playing on your emotions and playing on your fears. Read Donald Trump. I normally don't name candidates. I stay out of the political mess, but this guy is just bad for America. He's just playing on fears, and he's just pushing the pain button over and over again of people who feel that the economy has stepped away from them, and they got to blame somebody for it. I don't want you to respond to any of these folks on the fringes who really don't have your interests in hand. They have their own interests in hand. Donald Trump's brand has exploded in value from free media, billions of dollars really in free unearned media. that he would have had to pay for that has gone to help his business. So I don't even know if he wants to be president. And this is not about him, right? This is about you and your civil rights. So I want you to be part of your own Get It Done party, and you should be demanding that people speak to your enlightened self-interest and the interest of your family. And let me now unpack a couple stories of how you can't groupthink anything. In other words, you want to know, what are they going to do to help you become a homeowner? What are they going to do to help you make life easier for you to become a small business owner? What are they going to do to help to revitalize your neighborhoods and to increase or create a tax base? What are they going to do to help get your kid through college? What are they going to do with this crippling student loan debt, which has now exceeded credit card debt into the trillions of dollars? What are they going to do to help to reset the American dream? All this other stuff of blaming people, that's what politics has become, is blaming folks. It makes you feel better, but doesn't help you change your life one little bit. You know, politics, like modern leadership, has become like this. Figure out which way people are running, get in front of them and make like a parade, right? And that's not leadership. So let me tell you why we can't groupthink. During President Lincoln's days, when he freed the slaves, the Republican Party did that. The Democrats were actually the bad guys, right? And really try to turn the hands back of time. You fast forward to basically World War II, and it was a Democrat that helped to really set American free and giving blacks the opportunity to become doctors and lawyers and all that stuff. That was through the military. A. Philip Randolph came before Dr. King and all those other leaders and helped to desegregate the military. It's another video for another time of the March on Washington that came 20 years before the March on Washington. A. Philip Randolph, for those of you who don't know your research, know your history, really desegregated the military. Well, a Democratic president did that. And because of that mass movement of getting blacks into the middle class, we became Democrats. Now, I'm talking about all people, but I'm using black people as a barometer here, just a point because I happen to be African American. And because we tend to be on one side of the debate and not on the other side. And then we're often emotional about the topic. I want you to vote your interests, right? I want you to vote your pocketbook. I want you, and also understand that if you don't have an interest, if you don't own a home, you don't own a business, you don't have a job, then it's really hard to encourage somebody to vote. And that gets played against us as well. And then we get depressed, and then, of course, depressed people don't vote, and then the other guys, the bad guys, win. So I want you to vote your civil rights. I want you to be really vigilant about your God-given right to vote, the interest in the vote that empowers you the most, irrespective of what your mother, sister, brother, father, friend, wife, husband might be doing. You're not trying to be popular. You're trying to be proven. As I tell people, I'd rather you respect me and learn to like me than like me and never respect me. And that's the same way we need to raise our children. Let me tell you this quick George Bush story. I've got 8 minutes in the video. I'm going to do some questions. This is a quick George Bush story. So I'm serving George Bush, and it was the 10th anniversary of the Rodney King riots, and I invited him to come to South Central LA on the 10th anniversary of the riots. And all of my friends in South Central LA just jammed me up. I can't name names, so they're still around. I mean, they just called me everything but the kitchen sink. Why are you going to bring this man in the South Central LA? I said, well, let me guess. He's the president? There's not 6 of them. There's not 8 of them. There's not 1 million of them. There's 1 of them at a time, one at a time. But this is another crazy thing. Like, every race of people talks to whoever's at the White House except us. Don't let a Republican get in the presidency. We just stop talking to him and call him the devil. It's just nuts to me, right? There's just one president at a time. I didn't say go to love the dude. You may not even like him, right? But don't not deal with somebody because you're philosophically opposed. You can disagree without being disagreeable. So anyway, I brought him into South Central LA. I was going to, and then I get this note. It was First AME Church, Reverend Dr. Cecil Chip Murray, my man Reverend Whitlock, was done at Fame Renaissance. I get this note Friday before the event. There's going to be a really bad story in the LA Times about you doing this, and this prominent community leader said you shouldn't do it, put up by a local politician. So I said, look, please call the lady for me and say, if you really don't want the president to show up, I'll cancel it. Just one hitch. This is a Friday, the event's on Monday. There was going to be a private meeting with the president of 18 people prior to the big event with 800, 900 people. I had this person sitting next to the president of the United States to give their view of the community and have input. But if they think that this is a bad idea, I'll cancel that too. I'm going to cancel the whole thing. I get a note back 20 minutes later saying, oh, no, no. We were misquoted. The lady thought this was a great idea. What time is that meeting? So as long as they were excluded, it was a horrible thing. As long as I was doing it, it was a horrible thing. But if they were doing it, then it was a beautiful thing. People will not attack themselves. And so we need to widen this sense of community and bring everybody in. Anyway, as I was asked by another person, well, why'd you bring this man, this Republican, into Democratic territory? And I said, look, this gets back to the Get It Done party. I'm going to wrap this up. I said, let me make something clear to you. My community is in a crisis. And it's not like one party being in charge of some neighborhood has proven that neighborhood is an economic or social panacea in 40 or 50 years. In fact, my community seems to be doing pretty miserable. So let me make this clear to you. I don't care whether you're black or white, rich or poor, conservative or liberal, Republican or Democrat. If you want to help me eradicate poverty in my community, you are my friend. And if you don't, you're just wasting my time. PhDs are good. PhDs are even better. I'm not a part of the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I'm about the Get It Done party, because my people who are suffering don't care what party you're from. They just want a life that's better. And I said, and let me add something else to you. You know, just like FedEx gave the United Parcel Service some competition with overnight mail, you may still be using U.S. Parcel Service. You may still be using FedEx. But that competition made the Postal Service a better provider. Competition is always a good thing. So if you want to mix it up with these politicians and cause them to give you more talent and grit and gift, then so be it, because you are the client. You are the customer. It's not some kingdom where people tell you what to do. They can't brainwash you. All right, nobody can fool you unless they do it with your acquiescence, right? So let's stop being, as Malcolm said, bamboozled. Let's start being empowered and enlightened. So by the way, I brought Bush into South Central LA. All these people, including the politicians who said they're going to picket it, in the front row, shaking his hand, people jamming themselves to try and get in line. It was a beautiful event. And 8 years later, I got President Bush to sign an executive order making financial literacy federal policy for the first time in U.S. history. That was my first Civil Rights Act. My second Civil Rights Act, or third one, was helping get the Freedmen's Bank building renamed from the Treasury Annex across from the White House. Thank you, Secretary Jack Lew and President Obama, for that. But that act with President Bush would not have happened had I not had a relationship with him, given him basic respect and consideration, and believe that he may be he's maybe a good guy. Maybe we have different philosophies, but I thought I could bring him around by showing him our being gracious in our hometown. And showing them the enlightened self-interest in my community, and it worked. He signed the executive order, and it changed America, right? And you just never know where your gifts are going to come from. I'll give you two more political ahas. Where did affirmative action come from? Try to guess that one. Nixon. By the way, he was also an environmental president, oddly enough. Nixon, oddly enough. Where did the biggest civil rights bills come from? Was it Kennedy? Nope. Great guy. Nope. Came from Johnson, whom people just didn't like. In fact, he said horrible things about Jews, blacks, women. My thing is, I don't care if you don't like me, I like me. I don't care if you don't, if I don't respect me, I'm not going to respect you. If I don't love me, I'm not going to love you. If I don't feel good about me, I'm not going to feel good about you. So your self-esteem and charity has to start at home. Take your life back. Become your own agency of change. Become your own civil rights leader for a new day. And make friends everywhere. You never know when you're going to need one. Okay, I'm out. I'm sure this is going to be very controversial. I hope I didn't offend anybody. It was not my intent. I'm just being passionate about my belief that we need a software upgrade in our community and in our lives. And I love you enough to talk to you straight. All right, let me do some questions here. It's 13 minutes. I'm really over. Rakita, Bridget, nope, Eisenhower first civil rights bill. Okay, fine. But Eisenhower didn't sign the most bills. That was President Johnson, which was my point. Javert, people will not attack themselves. Don't exclude, include. Thank you very much. Lonice, there are no permanent friends. There are no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. That is a true story. Ibra, true. The Get It Done party. LaShawn, amen. Looks like I didn't offend too many people. Ebony, yes. Bridget, Lonice. Kiara. Also, can you tell us why China and the president are having a private meeting Tuesday about this currency I hear about? I'm an advisor to the administration, and it's probably not appropriate for me to get ahead of the president or anybody else, so they don't have to say no to that. You'll hear about it on the news. Anyone that uses fear as motivation is bad for business. Hello, Emmanuel, LaShawn, Mark Love, and others that have signed on, Tiffany, DC Price. So it looks like you enjoyed this. I'm well over. This is 15-minute, much longer than a video that I would prefer, but hope you found this valuable. Pass it on. Let's empower ourselves. Peace and light.